Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 2023's When Evil Lurks. Before we get started, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's, you can follow Corey at Corey_idol. And as always, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. Let's get into the cast of 2023's Shudder original When Evil Lurks. This film stars, and okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry if I butcher the names. I know I'm Italian, but like, that's why I only did 3 cast members from this movie, because I didn't want to go into the into the rest of it. But this film stars.
In fairness, if you did pronounce these names perfectly, they may bust you out of Florida forever.
That's true. That is true.
So you should fuck it up for self-preservation.
Good point. So this film stars Ezequiel Rodríguez as Pedro, Demián Salomón as Jimi, and Silvina Sabater as Mirtha.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks, guy.
I think you said it just wide enough to keep your house.
All right, we're good. So I'm going to say this, man, right off the rip. I have been, quote unquote, dipping my toe in like the foreign film subtitle, no matter what genre. And Netflix has done a good job of getting into this with like Squid Game and Money Heist and some other shows. And I've started to get into those. I really like foreign subtitled, not American horror films.
Yeah, because they're fucking bringing it, and we're bringing the Nun 2 to the table.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? What are we doing, American? You can talk about all of the social policy issues you want, but when it comes to fucking movie making, I'm going to throw my hat in the motherfucking political ring and say, get your shit together. This is a national emergency.
Yes.
Have some pride.
The originality that they have in some of these other countries where it's not just regurgitated crap. And before we started recording, I even told you it's the fact that studios getting these big studios that have now seen horror go mainstream and have gone, perfect example with The Nun, The Exorcist, Believer, and they've seen that they can make a lot of money on horror films now, put some big actors in it, and big actors will do horror now. And they CGI the shit out of everything, and they just regurgitate stories, and it's just they add or subtract a few characters from film to film. These films like this, and if you haven't seen When Evil Lurks, spoiler alerts are ahead, just FYI. But if you haven't seen this yet, it's fantastic. There's a spoiler alert. I loved this movie.
Yeah, before I sat down to watch this, I was actually complaining to somebody that horror movies anymore just aren't scary.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're predictable. It's not that they're poorly written. They're just not scary.
Yeah.
The scares are almost anticipated. The overall anxiety of the situation isn't really there anymore. You don't feel it with the character. This movie, I was in it from start to finish. I got it. And there were some scenes where I was legitimately like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Like, it was amazing.
There was a literal, we'll get to the scene, but there was a literal time, and I haven't done this to a horror movie in a while, but there was a scene where I went, God damn, out loud.
Yep, I already know where it was, because I had the literal same reaction.
And I haven't done that to a horror film in a while. A horror film. That's how bought into the film I was. So let's just get into it, man. So
please.
The movie opens. It's the morning after hearing some gunshots in the woods, Pedro and Jimi discover this dude's mangled body ripped in half in the woods. And after finding some clues, they go to Maria Gomez's house. They ask her about the gunshots and the dude who had her address, who was the guy that was ripped in half. And she tells them that the guy was a cleaner coming to kill her son, Uriel, who is possessed. And they say he's been rotten for a while now. That bitch was rotten, all right. He got a goiter with group A streptococcus, okay? This motherfucker, rotten is an understatement. When they show this guy, he looks like the human version of Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you've seen Seven, this guy is a mix between the guy that was forced to eat spaghetti until he died and the guy that they tied to the bed.
Yes.
And tortured. It's just a mashup. Like, if those two guys had a kid, it is this rotten thing on the bed. It is. Yeah. This was disgusting. And when we talk about gore, a lot of the gore, this, like, the beginning of the movie where you see the cleaner, he's separated in half. Yeah. So, like, his intestines are out. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Seen it a million times. I've seen it in things that weren't even scary movies. So, not a big deal. But this guy puking up green shit when somebody like touches it, and the snot coming out of him and the pussy bubbles everywhere. This was gory and it was fucking disgusting and I loved it.
So they go to the police here and they get literally nowhere with the police. So the two brothers are there and they're like, hey, there's a guy, and like, listen, if he's not possessed, fine, but like somebody just needs to go put a bullet in this dude or something. Like, something needs to happen. Like, we need to get like human and health services like over there. There needs to be a hazmat cleanup crew.
At least call Mary Maids.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So they basically, after this, because they get nowhere with the cops, they go to the landowner, Ruiz. And Ruiz basically tells them to shut their mouths and leave. And then Ruiz then takes matters into his own hands, and he goes to Maria's house to kill Uriel, but he doesn't because the demon will jump into him because there's rules. If you shoot him with a gun, with gunpowder, then the demon will jump into you, yada, yada. So...
And I think my esteemed colleague here is intentionally avoiding the fact that the first name of Mr. Ruiz is Armando.
Yes, it
is. And there has never been a more appropriately named character in any movie ever, because I am convinced they based this character off of you.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take my shotgun. Let's just kill this bit. Like,
this is everything Armando does from here until the end of his arc in this film is literally the most Armando shit Armando would do ever written down into a movie. This was insane.
Absolutely.
I was like time traveling and saw future you in Spain owning a farm, murking every pore that lived on your fucking thing.
You were correct.
And my arc ends in about 5 minutes because
your wife would 100% do this to you.
Yes. So Pedro and Jimi are called by Armando's wife, and they find that he didn't kill Uriel. And Ruiz tells them, because they go to the house, and he tells them that they have to take this dude like hours away and just dump his body, which again is another Armandoism. Like, okay, if I can't kill him, if those are the rules, like, I got my gun, but if I can't kill him, let's just toss this bitch in the back of the truck. We'll take it to somebody else's land. It'll be their fucking problem.
You're the reason there's no dumping laws in cities.
Absolutely.
You're just throwing mattresses on the street and shit.
Doesn't matter. It's somebody else's problem now, guy. We're done.
I love
it. And again, going back to, practical effects and all of that, the transportation of Pedro, Jimi, and Armando, like getting this dude out of the bed, like tearing through the sheet, hitting the floor, just the ooze and pus of it all, to try to get him in the back of his like F-150 so they could take him. It's so gross.
It's so gross. He falls through the sheet, and not because he's so big, because he is big.
Yes.
Like, this motherfucker's guest starring on My 600-Pound Life after this. He's got a good career ahead of him on that show. Yeah. But he doesn't fall through the sheet because he's so big. He falls through the sheet because all of the shit and piss and pus and ooze all through the sheet breaks down the material and literally rips it in half.
Yeah.
And then my man goes, "Get a blanket." Fuck you. I'm out. Let this motherfucker roast in the sun like a California raisin, dog. I'm done.
They do a really good job, again, because we always talk about the smell of things in these movies. They do a really good job of letting us know how bad it does smell. Now, the only one thing that's unbelievable about this scene is that nobody immediately, all three guys don't immediately just start throwing up on the big fat guy. Like, that's the only thing that would happen in real life.
For real. You're going to have a lot of my dinner from last night all over you if you're ever rotten. And then I'm leaving.
Yes.
This is where I'm like the brothers, and I'm just like, fuck all this. We just need to get out of town.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
I am much more like them. Like, I'm not transporting the demon, the fucking fat guy, the thing with pus and shit all over.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave. And if you ask any ex-wife of mine, that is exactly my MO.
Yes, it is.
I've gone out for a pack of cigarettes in a lot of states and never came back.
But they load this dude in the truck. They start driving it hours away, and they almost hit this kid on a bike going through a town. So they swerve around. They get to where they're going to dump this dude, and they open up the back tailgate on the truck, and the body's just gone. And normally, if you don't have a covering on the back of the bed of the truck, you're like, oh, he just flipped out maybe when we swerved. There is a covering on the truck, on the bed of it. It's not ripped. It's not nothing. David Blaine, this rotten dude, is not. Okay? He's not magic. He's not gone. Like, okay, maybe there is a possession. And Armando here, and this wouldn't be my reaction, he acts like he's like, oh, he must have fallen out when we swerved. Done and done. Let's go back home and let's go get some dinner. And it's like, no. Like, not that you need to turn into the Scooby Gang, but inspect some of the things that are going on here, and you'll realize that, like, oh, I think we fucked up.
Yeah. You playing Captain Hindsight right now, yes, I agree. You would do that now that you've seen the outcome. But in that real world situation, you're like, yep, I'm done. I got to wash fucking poop and ooze out of my goddamn truck bed for the next 4 days. I'm out. I got things to do.
You're absolutely right. And this is how I know you're right. Because I think it's Pedro. Because they're like, well, I guess we're just going to hop back in the truck and go home. And Pedro walks around like the rear quarter panel of the truck to go into the door.
Yeah.
And he gets really close, and there's just like pus all over the side of the truck. And I'm like, dude, your arm got way too close to, like, wide berth. I would go wide of that, look at the door handle, make sure there was no ooze on that. Like, I'm a germaphobe. And if I see yellow ooze that is that's coming out of somebody's neck and it's all over the side of the truck, like, I might even just walk home. I might even just be like, guys, you take the truck. I'm good.
This is how much of a germaphobe I am. It takes our main character another 45 minutes to burn his clothes.
Yes.
I would have been asshole naked getting back inside that truck.
Absolutely. You and me both.
Like, and you can't even complain about me sitting on your nice leather seats with my butthole exposed because you got shit and ooze all over the place in the back. You got bigger problems than a guy that showered today. So
exactly.
We're good.
Exactly. And The next morning, Ruiz's wife sees one of their goats has become possessed. So she warns him not to use the gun because it'll spread the possession, yada, yada. So Ruiz doesn't listen here, which is a very Armando thing to do. He shoots the goat, and his wife then swiftly goes murder-suicide with the axe, bashes him in the head, and then, again, great scene. You talk about like, oh, in horror movies, this was a good murder scene or this was creative. This bitch just took the axe and just went bang, like right into her fucking face. Not once, not twice, like 3 or 4 times until she just collapsed.
Was dead.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. And the fact too that she was pregnant. And that was one of her main reasons is like, I'm pregnant. This demon is now free. Damn that. And this is what I don't get. Like, first off, I love the fact in the scene that the goat confirms he is possessed. Because we don't really know. This guy's just fucked this giant guy that they disposed of. For all we know, he's just sick. He's got a couple of... We don't know. We have no idea what's going on. Maybe he took the COVID vaccine. Bum, bum, bum. But there's...
Goddamn Fauci!
Right. So all we know right now is that a group of people think he's possessed.
Yes.
And the cops, they're kind of dismissive of it. You know what I mean? Like, so there is that air of maybe this isn't true and maybe these are just overzealous, religious, fucking fanatical nut jobs.
Yep.
Well, they wouldn't have taken the COVID vaccine if that was the case. But this scene confirming that the goat walking right up to the barrel of the gun, like, bitch, shoot me, please. I beg you to shoot. Yeah. That was amazing. And the goat not running and Armando pointing to the you, which, I mean, look, I've said a lot of things about Armando. I have never known Armando to look at the one brown goat in a field full of white goats and go, you, and then point a gun at him. I'll give you that, bro. You are not that guy.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll talk a lot of shit about you, but you ain't that. I ain't trying to get you killed enough. But this scene is so epically amazing from the second he points at the goat and says you until the very end of it.
Yeah.
It is brilliant. And for the life of me, I don't understand why you just don't take the axe from your wife. It's like, dude, sometimes your wife just knows the way to go better than you. Like if she's in the car and says turn left and you're like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, we need to turn left. Turn fucking left. You know what I'm saying? There's no pride here when we're executing demon goats.
You were correct.
So that night, Maria's other son comes to Jimmy and Pedro's house and basically says like, oh, don't know where my mom went. Everybody just disappeared. I'm scared. So they're like, yeah, go sleep in the shed, kiddo.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, guys fighting an invasion of demons. Uncle Corey here. So things have kind of went tits up, and all of a sudden some random kid shows up at your door with a 38 in his waistband, like, can I sleep here, please? The answer is fucking no. An emphatic fuck you no. As a matter of fact, what I would have done is taken one of the axes or many stabbing implements around, because you can't shoot the kid.
Yeah.
And I'd hack him into a billion fucking pieces. Fuck you, demon. You ain't getting me.
Yep.
Why? Because some little fucking doe-eyed kid shows up needing a place to sleep? Go sleep in a fucking gutter. Fuck you. There's demons running around. Kiss my ass.
That's the most Armando thing you've ever said.
Yeah. That's because, look, man, when life or death comes, when it's a life or death situation, Corey turns into Armando. Damn all that shit.
Yep. Self-preservation, man.
I've said it before on other horror movie reviews. Do not knock on my door. Plow.
Absolutely.
That's what happens.
So the next morning, Jimmy and Pedro take off. Jimmy drops Pedro off at his ex-wife Sabrina's house to get his family. And that is a whole mess over there. He gets in. He immediately strips down naked. Now, okay, I got a quick don't do that for this guy.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, people who are running away from demons and the rotten. Real quick, if you're gonna do the whole, like, I gotta burn my clothes, I gotta blah, blah, blah. Did you sleep in those clothes? Because it's the next day. Just take Corey's advice from earlier. Don't do what he did there. Like, you stripped down your clothes, you went to bed, you woke up, you put your demon clothes back on, and then you went to your ex's house to go get your kids and her new husband and blah, blah, blah. And when you walk in, definitely don't go, hey, you need to pack your shit and we need to go, as you get asshole naked in the middle of their dining room. Okay? A little explanation before things happen would be nice. Or, I don't know, just burn your clothes at home and then go to their house. But he doesn't do that. He walks in to a fucking mess, and she's like, I got restraining orders against you, and apparently he was accused of, like, murdering somebody and some incident or something that had happened. And by the way, the new husband, this guy's the biggest cuck in the fucking world. Because he's like, he's like, I don't know, man. I mean, like, he just came. And she's like, get him the fuck out of here. And he's like, I mean, let me just call the police.
This is what I think we talk about. And again, why foreign films are right now so much better than anything we're putting out in the States is because we constantly complain about not letting your audience figure shit out.
Yeah.
I think you're stupid as an audience, so I'm going to waste time rehashing exposition over exposition. So what I gathered from this scene by the dialogue alone and the way Leo acted and our main character acts here is, and obviously later when Sabrina's talking to him as the rotten, Pedro and Leo, I'm pretty sure here, were like best friends. And Sabrina fucked Leo because Pedro's a goddamn disaster of a human being. That's what I gathered from this scene. So yeah. Leo being conflicted and like, oh, I don't know what to do. And
yeah,
I get that. 100% got that. And again, thank you to the fucking filmmakers and the writers for not having to have an extra 5-minute long conversation about how you fucked my best friend, and now I'm here trying to save you, and there's a riot. It's like, Jesus Christ, we didn't need any of that.
You were right.
And the best here, as this is all going on, because as the audience, we're all focused on the three adults having the very adult conversation of, you're crazy, what the fuck, get out of my house.
And we saw the dog earlier go over and sniff his clothes before he's getting ready to burn them.
And the shot, this is shot so brilliantly because you have the dog and the daughter, who's what, 5-ish, in the foreground. And out of nowhere, the dog just attacks the girl. And this is where I out loud go, goddamn. Like, I'm by myself watching this film. I yell out, goddamn, for a couple of reasons. One, it's not your traditional jump scare. This isn't somebody peering, like jumping out from around a corner. This is just, again, the way it was shot. Everything about this scene was awesome. And this is what I respect, again, about foreign films versus films shot in the United States. You don't get enough horror films where a kid gets murked. Okay? Because the dog attacks this girl and then ragdolls her underneath the kitchen table.
Dude, and they show it. That was my favorite. Because seeing her get hit in the head with that initial bite, which was one of the most unflinching, ferocious things I've seen in a very long time.
Yes.
To then cut it back away to the other kid's point of view, watching his sister underneath the table, trying to shout over the grown-ups who are still screaming and yelling and have no idea what's happening. And this little girl is just being bounced up and down off the floor in this dog's mouth. Fuck, what a scene, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
If you weren't paying attention to this movie and up until now, you really are now. Because they're like shit is going. We're done with the is it? Could it be?
Yeah.
No, it's here. It's real.
And
the chaos in the next scene of him just running.
Yeah.
Is it's.
Yeah,
I can't say enough about this.
Yeah, because the dog takes off out the front door with the girl still in his mouth. The dad, Leo, goes chasing after her. You know, Pedro's kind of scrambling. Pedro's trying to chase after Leo, saying, don't use the gun, yada, yada. Leo tracks the dog down, shoots the dog. The girl's mangled. And then all of a sudden, the next shot is the girl. Everything's fine. She's fine. And then we get into this whole fucking thing because, you know, Leo decides to go Grand Theft Auto on the goddamn dog. And she's fine. And then the mother comes over and she's like, oh my God, you're fine. And then the daughter hands the creepiest line where she's just like daddy's going to come and kill you and he's going to show up, and then wham. And then she just both of them get hit by the truck. And Pedro's like, deuces, y'all. He takes his two sons and bounces from there.
And you see the little girl just dancing.
Yes.
Outside of the accident when everybody else is trying. Dude, brilliance.
The whole series of scenes. From him walking in the door and stripping down naked to him getting away after the Leo hits the mom and the daughter with the truck. Everything was brilliant here. Pedro goes and snags Jimi, their mother, and they're bouncing out of town, and they go to Mirtha's house, which apparently was an old lover of Jimi. She doesn't have electricity, which is another rule, no electricity during possession hours.
And I got to tell you real quick, Mom would get tossed the fuck out of the car after about 5 minutes of her sassing. It's like, bitch, you taught us about the rotten. You taught us all this shit. You still know rules about it that we don't, because you taught us this and we thought you were fucking crazy, but now we know it's real and you're dismissing us? You're being condescending? Fuck you, lady. I went out of my way to try and save you. You can get your old ass the fuck out of my car.
Disagree. Have you ever talked to a foreign mom? Okay? Because I had one of them. All right? And I'll say this. This is 100% on fucking point. Okay?
Fair enough.
All the way up to the creepy foreign children's song about the demons that are going to come and touch your butthole or whatever, okay? I'll tell you this, and I don't know if this is for all of the world, but I do know as an Italian, and my mom would sing Italian, like children's nursery rhyme type deals to me, and they were creepy as fuck, and they still are apparently in Spain as well. Because this fucking song was just like, keep the demons away, and then you gotta, light your dick on fire, and don't use guns, and like, whoa! That's a fucking children's nursery rhyme. And they're pretty much the same in Italy, too.
Fair enough. I rescind everything I said, and I apologize. I had no context, and because of my extreme xenophobia, I refuse to be born to a foreign lady. Yeah. I will not have it.
It's, what?
I shall not have it.
If anybody wonders why I'm so fucked in the head, that's why. So, moving right along.
We've done 500 shows. They know exactly why you're fucked in the head.
They get to Mirtha's place. Mirtha warns Jamie about Pedro's autistic son, Jair. He's showing signs of possession, which Jamie dismisses. And then we get the blood-covered possessed Sabrina, who shows up, kidnaps the youngest son. Mirtha then tells Jimi to go chase after her, while she and Pedro search for Uriel and kill him to end everything.
This is okay. I can appreciate, again, much like never been born to a foreign mother, I have never had a child, at least one that I gave a fuck about. So I can't necessarily empathize here with Pedro running around and going fucking bananas because Sabrina jumped off the balcony with his son. That being said, as a bystander, that bitch swan dived off the fucking balcony of a, 2-3 story house onto a concrete patio deck.
Yep.
using your son as an inflatable raft.
Pretty much.
That bitch dead.
Oh, when you go down and there's no blood on the concrete and then they're just not there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, all right. We're wrapping this show up. Like,
yeah, and like Eddie Murphy said, what is that kid? 5? 10? I'm not that attached to you.
And then they decide to go like Hell House here, where they're just leaving people behind and splitting up, and it's like, hey,
this is crazy.
Me and Murder are gonna go find Uriel, and you go find Sabrina because you won't have any issues killing her if you find her. Which Jimmy doesn't. He just smashes her with the car. Great. But they
I did applaud because I was like, at least she didn't use a gun.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the most well thought out plan because you fucked yourself up in the process.
Yes.
But also, you also solved the problem because I'm going to be honest with you. What else could you do in that situation when your brother's ex-wife is walking down the street eating your nephew's brains out of his head like it's popcorn?
Like she went to fucking Carvel ice cream and she got those like the baseball helmet with the ice cream in it. But you have that, but then you leave your mother by herself with your oldest son, who I guess would be classified as, I don't know, do they say he has autism, right?
Yeah, they make a point of saying that's why like the demon can't take full possession because it doesn't know how to unlock an autistic person's mind. But you can see with his hands all.
Yeah, he's basically nonverbal. But they leave for the most part. They leave. And 5 minutes after they leave, this motherfucker walking around like he's the star quarterback at the local high school.
Oh, he walked in and said, "Hello, Grandma Mom. May I have a cup of tea as I am chilled, please?"
The minute, like, not for nothing, but if I'm the grandmother, again, I am up and the fuck out of their car, no car. I'm walking. I'm doing whatever I can, or I'm just stabby in the back of the neck or something here. But whatever, neither here nor there. But it comes up later, so I guess it's here. So Pedro and Mirtha get to the town where the truck dropped Uriel. So they get to the schoolhouse filled with possessed kids who are hiding Uriel in like the stage platform under other like dead bodies.
This was cool too because one of the kids like wipes their mouth with something, and then Pedro looks down. He sees all the kids seem to have like white shit all over their shoes.
Yeah.
But again, there's no context given. And
yes.
Thank you again, filmmakers, for treating us like adults, because later they're like, oh, the bodies are all covered in lye. Yep. Like the little girl says that.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So I loved that. And again, it brings you back to the girl wiping her face with the lye. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking nasty.
Yes.
This is the part that kind of frustrated me. And this is the most horror movie, the most cliched horror movie thing throughout this movie. Mm-hmm. Which is Pedro continuing to not listen to Mirtha about all of her. She was like, dude, just get the fucking guy. Stop listening to the kids. Get Uriel out of the fucking thing. Oh, you're not strong enough? Too bad, guy. Fucking, I need to see the fucking nape of his neck so I could like fucking jam him with this goddamn needle or whatever the fuck. And he's like, oh, one of the kids that's been super helpful thus far told me that there's an axe in this fucking empty room. So he goes in there, he gets locked in the room, and then the kids just pounce on Mirtha. They murder her, they drag her away as the one girl is just blasting her in the head with the hammer.
And what's great about this again too is she's hitting her like a little girl. It's not like one hit with the hammer and her head explodes. Like she has to continually beat her because she's not using, demon strength or anything. Yeah. It's just little girl strength swinging a hammer. And this was confusing to me too, because I know they allude to Pedro having different problems throughout this. Like maybe he's got a screw loose or something's just fucked up with this guy. But at the same time, the little girl who tells him, like, oh, get the axe and kill him because sons are dead and you can still find them or whatever the fuck. Little, it's like, dude, 2 scenes ago, you were wholesale kicking the shit out of her. Like, dude, literally on top of her, just slapping the piss out of her while she's crying like a little, not laughing like a demon or anything. She's crying like and you're just not seeking information.
No.
You're just beating up a little kid.
As you then call her a liar.
She walks back in and she's like, get the axe and save your son. You're like, you know what? I slapped some sense into that little bitch. You got a good idea right now. I'm going to go fuck this demon up. What are you doing, bro?
Absolutely.
That was my biggest thing. Like, I understand operating out of emotion, but also if it was that important, why didn't you go looking for your son and send your brother with Mirtha to go finish all this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're that concerned about your son now, where the mere mention of your son, not even his name, your son, drives you into a frenzy where you're just like, get the axe at all costs.
Yeah.
And then you thought after they killed Mirtha to use the chair to break the door.
Yeah, well, and not only
that was because he just keeps shaking the door. Use the fucking chair, dickhead.
By the way, this school is old as fuck. If you just one good kick and those doors would disintegrate, just FYI. But
I don't know. That guy's about as skinny as I am. We ain't kicking down too many doors, bro.
But with that said, he finally breaks through the door. He undoes the thing. The little, I don't know, the compass that she was putting together for the cleaner thing is all broken to pieces. So he's like, I don't know what to do. I mean, this thing's busted to pieces. I'm going to take this piece of it and I'm just going to bash Uriel in the head with it. Cool story, bro. So he bashes Uriel. Uriel then gives birth to a 13-year-old demon.
I loved the fact that they actually had the nuts to go that route where he literally gave, because they said the whole time it'll give birth to the demon.
Yeah.
And everything so far demon-wise has been largely invisible.
Yeah.
Like, there's zero indication as to who is being possessed, who's not. It's just maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Yep.
And so for them to actually go that route of literally, if you kill him the wrong way, you will give birth to the demon. A fucking demon crawls out of him.
Yep. Just covered in blood and
And then he marks him with the 3 marks, which was the one thing I did not understand.
It was almost like he was mocking him. Like he just kind of walked by and went, there you go, guy. I got to go take care of some shit. You deal with all this bullshit. Like it was almost like he mockingly was like, we'll keep you alive for now, but I'm going to go fucking murk some other people.
That was kind of my thing. Was it what my guess, because it's simply a guess, because the mark doesn't wash off later after Pedro gets home and shakes his shower, and the mark is still on his forehead. So my guess towards that was like he was marked as like, you're good. You gave birth to me. Basically, you're my father.
Or that, yeah.
You're good. And you're just going to have to watch literally everyone else fucking go.
That's a good read.
As your form of torture. That's my guess, but I that's the one thing where as an audience member, I was not smart enough to get.
Yeah, no, same. But after this, so Pedro and Jimi then take his son back to their house. And in the shed is Uriel's brother, who tells Jimi that he killed their mother and ate her. And he killed the original cleaner. And that's the same thing that happened to your mother. Because we don't see the grandmother after that. No. You know, after they get back, they hug, and then they're out, and they're at their house the next day. And then it cuts back to Pedro, and he's like stoking the fire. He finally got his kid the fucking apple ice cream he's been looking for the whole movie. So he's eating that. He starts choking, and then he just starts pulling hair and the grandmother's necklace and all this shit out. And he, obviously the son is possessed.
That look, too, the son gives him.
The side eye?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which gave it away. Yeah. Dude.
That was awesome.
And phenomenal.
Then the movie ends with him like collapsing outside and Jimmy's walking away from the shed. And But dude,
I'm assuming he killed his son.
I'm assuming as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
Because the way he screams at the end kind of told me, like, I have lost everyone.
Yeah.
And even like the defeated way, like the brother doesn't want to quite go in and look. He just kind of peers, and then he just kind of puts his head on the truck. Like, it seems like maybe he killed his son.
It does seem like
kind of like in The Mist. Remember in The Mist?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it could have been that. I could have gone either way. It could have been that he killed his son. That was my first reaction when he walks out of the house. My second was like, maybe he's just like, because he's possessed, yada yada. You still lose everything.
Exactly.
But dude, all in all, man, beginning to end, this movie is fantastic. Love this movie. Super original. And like I said, during the dog scene where he attacks it, just some of the decisions as far as the shots and how they shot it were amazing.
Hell yes.
That shot, another shot that stuck out to me was the demon walking out to the sunrise through that field into the woods and all the kids following him. That was a great shot. The camera following around Pedro as he's running between Leo and Sabrina and trying to find the daughter. That was a fucking great shot. I mean, I'm like you, dude. I wish there was enough words or a proper word I could use to truly describe how I feel about this, because this was one of the more refreshing films.
Yep.
Especially in the horror genre that I have seen in so very long.
Yeah,
it was original. The effects were practical. The actors came and fucking brought it and sold every piece of it. It got to a point where having to read the dialogue was not important. I was watching the film. I did not care what they were saying quite as much. About midway through, I just wanted to watch the film, and I could garner everything I needed to from the emotions, from the actors, the scenes, everything else that was happening,
and the sound effects and the score. Just it wasn't overbearing. It just added the perfect amount of whatever they wanted you to feel, with a nice little minor chord or something along those lines. The sound effects weren't, big. It was layered in so well that, again, you didn't really need the dialogue. Obviously, for review purposes, I was paying more attention to the dialogue, but this is one of those movies that I kind of want to go back and rewatch just to sit back. No notes, no nothing, just as a viewer to sit back and enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, this is getting watched multiple times. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about rotations, bitch. This might be my number one side chick.
Yeah.
This is so
absolutely
good. You were right.
I can't heap enough praise on this movie. I mean, I'm so happy it was here. And if you don't have Shudder yet, because I think this is exclusively on Shudder, believe me when I say this movie alone, because even if it is on Amazon, I guarantee you the price to rent this one movie is the same cost as a monthly Shudder subscription. So get the goddamn service and watch this movie. It is worth your time. I promise you.
Absolutely. If you're even remotely a fan of horror, this one is well worth it. The guy who wrote it, directed it, did a fantastic job. Again, like I said, I have zero bad things to say about this, but that's all I got, man. If you don't have Shudder, at the very least, try the free trial and check it out. And check out this movie while you're there, along with a bunch of others. But that's all I got. Do you got anything else?
No. Go watch this movie, please.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 2023's When Evil Lurks.